Hi guys, Peter Finch here and welcome down to Tech Tuesday, which as you may have noticed is coming out on a Wednesday. We released a video yesterday about a second-hand club challenge that myself and Rick Shields are doing. Those vlogs are coming this week, so unfortunately had to delay this video until today. But there is a hell of a lot to talk about. So this week we're going to be looking at Lexi Thompson and the ANA Inspiration debacle, the Masters, because it's, well, the Masters, what players are using and stuff that we need to be having a look out for, and also a new set of Mizuno irons which is just coming out. All the photos have been leaked. It's going to be coming out, you know what I mean. So if you don't know what happened to Lexi Thompson during the third round of the first major of the year, the ANA Inspiration, she was over a short putt on the third round, only about 1.5 feet, marked her ball, picked it up, replaced it in what appears to be a slightly different position looking at the replays, but we're talking a matter of centimetres, then holed out and went on to sign a scorecard for a 67. She went into the last round as the leader, but on the 12th hole, rules officials approached her and informed her she will be docked 4 strokes for incorrectly marking a ball and then signing the wrong scorecard. So the LPGA statement reads, on Sunday afternoon, the LPGA received an email from a television viewer saying that Lexi Thompson did not properly replace her ball prior to putting out on the 17th hole during Saturday's third round of the ANA Inspiration. The claim was quickly investigated by LPGA rules officials. After a full review, it was determined that Thompson breached Rule 20-7C, playing from the wrong place, and received a 2-stroke penalty. She incurred an additional 2-stroke penalty under Rule 6-60 for returning an incorrect scorecard in round 3. She was immediately notified by a breach by the LPGA Rules Committee in between holes 12 and 13 of the final round. So Lexi Thompson went from leading by 2 strokes to actually being behind by 2 strokes, managed to recover her composure, which I think was incredible considering the situation, but lost then in a playoff. And when this happened, a number of high-profile players got involved, especially on Twitter, where it seemed to just blow up. Now, most people were siding with Lexi Thompson about how this could have been allowed to have happened, and it does raise a lot of questions. First of all, if someone has emailed this, then they've obviously seen it happen, most likely live, and then why wait till the next day to email it? And then why, when it's emailed, would rules officials take so long to decide about this when she was already a long way into that final round? And there's also the argument here of should this have stood, because it appears by video she did replace her ball in a slightly different spot. Now, it doesn't appear that there's any blemishes on the green. It doesn't appear that she would have done this as a way to cheat the rules. It looks like she's just picked it up, moved the ball around a little bit, and then replaced it in a slightly different place. I can't physically see an advantage that she would have gained out of doing this. And then other players have since got involved, so Phil Mickelson being one of the most vocal, as he is on most subjects. I don't always agree with Phil, but I think he strikes a chord with some of the comments that he's come out with. So he says, rather than address that specific instance, referring to the Lexi Thompson situation, what I would say is this: I know a number of guys on tour that are loose with how they mark the ball and have not been called on it. I mean, they will move the ball 2-3 inches in front of their mark, and this is an intentional way to get it out of any impression and so forth. And I think that that kind of stuff needs to stop. So Mickelson's talking about something which I'm sure a lot of people see in their Sunday 4-ball, about people marking their ball and then really moving it away from that marker to give themselves a real advantage and to move it out of a proper impression on the green. He went on to say, I think Thompson should have been given the trophy and that there was no real advantage to what Thompson did. But this whole situation does raise interesting questions about how viewer interaction should and could determine the outcome of an event. Let's put this in context and relate this to another sport. Let's say football or soccer. So a viewer sees that during a match or after a match on a replay, that someone has committed a foul which led to a goal which then won one team a match, whatever it may be. If that viewer then emailed in after the result of that match and said, oh, I think there was a rules infraction, I think that one team cheated and therefore the other team scored and won. I mean, the player responsible might get after penalties, so if they're seen to have elbowed the player or been violent towards another player, whatever it may be. Fortunately, that doesn't happen in golf. Those are the only punishments that can be dished out retrospectively. The actual result of the match, or in this golf term, the actual result of that round, should have really stood. It also raises a question of how many of these emails, how many of these responses from the public do the rules officials actually get? So this seems like it's just the one email, the one isolated email that's come in, which has caused them to review this situation. But how many people actually email in and talk about possible rules infractions? How do the governing bodies actually cope with that? It will be interesting to see, it will be interesting to find out from the USPGA or the RNA when the Open is on, about how the LPGA in this respects, how many emails do they get? How many times do people write in, call in, go on Twitter and say, oh, I think I've seen this rules infraction, and then they have to change their minds? I can't think of another situation off the top of my head where this has happened, but I'd like to know. Please comment below. And also let me know what you think. First of all, do you think this was a rules infraction? By the look of the videos, I would say she did move it into another place when marking her ball, even though it doesn't appear she had gained an advantage. And should that ruling have stood? Should they have approached it in the way that they did? I think that's totally out of order, approaching a player on the 12th tee when they're leading a major tournament, and then what the repercussions of that should have been. The whole point of these Tech Tuesdays, the whole point of the Finch Friday Q&As is that I do is, yes, to give my opinion, to get you guys involved as well. So comment below, let me know what you think. On a side note to this, it should be pointed out how classy Lexi Thompson was when she dealt with this situation. Yes, she was upset, yes, there were tears. But for the continuation of that round, how she managed to claw her way back into that playoff, how she handled herself afterwards as well, it was pure class. And certainly her stock after this hasn't gone down. I think it's risen. And it is Masters time. Best time of the year. It means the golf season has officially started. I'm still a little bit old school like that. I do find when the Masters comes around, everyone gets a little bit more excited. It was sunny yesterday here in the UK, and I even went out to play until it was dark. That's how excited I am getting now over the Masters and the proper return of the season. There are loads of talking points about this, but there's one that I want to pick up from the GolfWRX website about equipment and a few new additions to people's bags. So going into the Masters, Rory McIlroy, currently world number 2 and one of the hot favourites for this event to complete the career Grand Slam, has been fiddling around with his club. So he has put back into play, it appears, the M2 fairway woods, ditching the Callaway Epic. The Callaway Epic driver still appears to be in the bag, but also his irons have been changed around as well. So he has been playing with some prototype Callaway irons, but they have new stampings now, and they do look a slightly different iron than the ones he has been using. Now, with this in mind, this is a question really of not so much what Rory is thinking, because at the end of the day, he's a number 2 player in the world. We take it for granted he knows what he's doing with his clubs, and there is a reason for this change. But what would you do if you were faced with the dilemma of having a choice of lots of clubs? Would you stick with what you've known for the beginning of the season, or would you have the courage to put new things into play? Is this tinkering for tinkering's sake? And is he making these changes in regard to the conditions that are going to be at Augusta this week? So with the rain that is coming through, the course, you imagine, is still going to be amazing condition with the aeration systems that they have under the greens there. Because let's face it, this is the one that he wants. This is the major where you would consider him really to be the favourite because of his ball flight so high with that draw. This is tailor-made for him, and yet that expectation and that pressure hasn't really allowed him to play the golf that we would expect, apart from that 1 year where he had his capitulation. So we will see. Rory is really my pick for this Masters, as long as he's made the right club choice, of course. And last but not least, some new Mizuno irons have been spotted in a number of players' bags, and these look like they're going to be replacing the JPX 900. So the MP18 iron, it's got a very similar look to most Mizuno irons, to be honest. It's a shiny blade, which, to be fair, in hindsight, actually is a bit of a departure away from the JPX 900, which had that frosted finish. That was a fantastic iron, but I am very much a magpie. I like shiny things. And Mizuno irons for me have always been super shiny things. I like shiny things. Now, they're obviously going to be a fantastic blade. Well, I say obviously, you shouldn't really comment on things before you've tried them, but Mizuno, you know, consistently one of the best manufacturers of blades in the world. So comment below, are you excited about this? Are you really bothered about new Mizuno irons? I certainly played with some new Mizuno irons in the second-hand club challenge last week, which were fantastic, and I do look forward to getting my hands on these. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please comment below on everything that we've seen today. Look forward to the Masters. I think it's going to be an amazing one. I've just got this feeling in my waters. I'm very excited. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video and share it around, and we will see you down here next time.